morning. Today, we're going to cover the topic of value creation in deflationary SaaS environment. Since the emergence of generative AI back in 2022, all of the SaaS and technology executive teams and management teams are thinking through how do we create additional enterprise value in the new environment. And that's what we're going to cover here today. So let's dive in. It's always good to start with kind of a bit of a broader picture to zoom out and see where we are in the cycle. So our technology innovation cycle started back in 1950s with monolithic applications that eventually led to internet, eventually led to the SaaS applications. And now here we are, software ate the world and software and SaaS applications ate the enterprise. We are now seeing the kind of tail end of that S-curve, and companies that we typically call it traditional SaaS companies are having a more and more difficult time to meet this rule of 40. The rule of 40 is the criteria that investors are evaluating software companies and technology companies in general, and it covers the software, so the growth aspect of the company, which is your revenue growth, plus your EBITDA margins. It has to equate to 40 or above 40. Anything below that is considered less desirable. So with the slowing down of the SaaS revenue, companies are more challenged to meet that rule of 40. At the same time, we have a Gen AI technology that unlocked new capabilities. It unlocked the ability for companies to go after existing total addressable markets, and also unlocked new addressable markets. And so investors have higher expectations. At the same time, Gen AI also drives efficiencies for the company. So the new rule is the rule of 60. And we're kind of at the starting point where SaaS companies, in order to stay competitive in the marketplace, will have to make this jump from the rule of 40 to the rule of 60. And in the rule of 60 world, what does the kind of technology look like? I think that is still TBD and to be determined, but we're seeing the signs of that, which is agentic AI capabilities. And so we call that new era of composable no apps era that will start in 2025. And I think it's going to be driven by kind of really actions focused technology versus the legacy interface SaaS technology will be sitting in the background. So essentially visible actions and very invisible technology in the back end that the end users will be interacting. Now, as a result to this jump into the new S curve, right? So and the new Gen AI capabilities, especially in software development, are kind of driving this deflationary aspect of SaaS and software in general. And kind of want to cover a little bit kind of what are those factors. So Goldman Sachs came out with a report with the same name. It was Deflationary Software. And so kind of what are the key drivers of driving this legacy SaaS deflation? So one is, as I already mentioned, the software development. Gen AI unleashed kind of democratization of software development, and they have second order effects. So number one, companies in the past that were not able to, did not have the capabilities to develop software themselves, all of a sudden can, with less effort, and less skill sets, actually able to develop software. So therefore, there's going to be less need to go and source the third-party software in the marketplace. They will be able to develop it themselves. It will probably impact the software that is kind of more on the surface, not necessarily the one as deep driving enterprise workflows. But really, some of the marketing software, right? Maybe some of the collaboration software will actually be able to be replaced much easier with Gen AI capabilities. The second order effect is that the market participants who were software developers, so they're spread across all this worldwide software development shops, they will have to rethink their business models because there will not be as much of a demand for software development as it has been in the past. So maybe the focus will now have to transition to more, how do I help companies to kind of, enable these agentic AI workflows, or develop some sort of agents versus um, kind of a typical software solutions. Well, also as a second order effect, we'll see more of a vendor switching, according to McKinsey, up to in an order of 5 to 10 percentage points. Obviously, as software becomes kind of more composable, more easier to develop yourself, you will obviously you'll be also easier to switch it to any other provider that maybe meets your needs better. We'll see changing in investor sentiment around software or legacy SaaS, right? So since 2021, we haven't seen any software IPOs, and there seems to be less and less an appetite to invest in traditional SaaS, and we're seeing all the dollars are going into generative AI capabilities, or companies with Gen AI capabilities. A lot of in vertical SaaS, which are really focused on specific role and developing agents for those specific functions, such as finance, sales, customer service, etc. Changing pricing models. So historically, like SaaS usually charges by seat. The new Gen AI software will probably be more outcomes focused, because these agents are allowing to break down the tasks and really kind of guide themselves to achieving a specific objective. So that will probably enable and really make it which I think was always the desire in the software space, for at least for the end users, to get the outcomes out of software. I think we're finally gonna get to the point where these agentic systems will be able to deliver on outcomes. So if you are, thinking through your traditional SaaS or any technology company, how do I go and unlock value? I would encourage to make sure go back to the traditional kind of value framework and how companies unlock value, which is the top line is, hey, how do I drive strategic advantage for my company and drive the growth? And then at the bottom, how do I shrink my bottom line as much as possible and become as operational efficient as possible? And so the key kind of differentiators and things to point out and think about in kind of traditional SaaS versus Gen AI SaaS is from the strategic advantage perspective. I think where we're going is that instead of like thinking of software as a service, we're really going to focus into a service aspect, all services, and thinking through how do we turn them into the software. So essentially, all the people who are actually touching a software today. So if you're like, for example, a CRM system, sales representatives or marketing people that you are serving, how can you mitigate the service on their part so that you have agents in your systems that actually kind of proactively engage with that end user and drive the outcomes for that user? So really, it's all about anywhere you have a service in your solution, that is going to be turned into agentic AI, and that is the one that's going to drive the pricing power and the willingness on the end user to actually pay for Gen AI capabilities. Now, also on the customer experience overall, so customer experience will change from, hey, I no longer just need a point solution. I really need you to kind of drive my business outcomes. So when I buy, for example, a CRM, I want deals closed. I don't necessarily need to triage or kind of help with the workflow. So help me close the deals. And then on the kind of network, so obviously the data corpus that you have and you collect, and how you build out kind of partnerships around that, your data corpus, and how you're able to contribute to the new ecosystems that are going to be coming up as a result of Gen AI, I think will have a significant part in driving growth. And at the bottom, I'll just say, at the bottom line, driving operational efficiency. So obviously these agentic workflows will reduce a lot of manual labor and workflows in general. But I think in the short term, Also, if you're a SaaS provider or a CV provider or any tech provider, you will have to make this jump from traditional cloud infrastructure to Gen AI infrastructure, and that could be a costly endeavor, especially during this interim period where you have to manage the both. So, really, to kind of summarize it, so focus from the products and services standpoint, make sure you enable capabilities that customers want to buy, and I would argue agentic capabilities that drive outcomes that's what's going to be more appealing to the end user to buy, and maybe even pay a premium. And the bottom line, also make sure you introduce as much agentic workflows as possible within your operations, especially for SaaS providers within the order to cash workflows. So those are kind of critical to drive user experience and to drive the kind of productivity of your firm productivity. And then obviously monitor this kind of new infrastructure spend, which obviously is super critical to the success. So with that, I'm going to end here, and I'm going to invite you to join our Code to Value community, where we're going to unpack each of these levers that you can pull as a SaaS provider to kind of make this jump from traditional SaaS to Gen AI focused provider. This is the code here. If you just scan the QR code, should direct you to our community. Sign up and participate, and look forward to collaborating with you. Take care.